Formed shortly after World War II in 1954, the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force has been a dominant and colossal naval presence in the Asia-Pacific region for over half a century. While China's influence in the region has slowly been building, Japan has unleashed a secret new weapon in the fight for underwater superiority. Welcome to Insane Reality. In this episode, we're taking you to the land of the rising sun and discover Japanese military prowess and its secret new weapon. So let's get into it. Born out of the dissolution of the Imperial Japanese Navy, the JMSDF has the 8th largest exclusive economic zone in the world. In order to protect this economic zone covering an area of over 145,000 square miles, the JMSDF have had to invest heavily into their naval capabilities. This includes an arsenal of 50,000 personnel, 250 ships, and 346 aircraft, making the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force the world's 4th largest navy by tonnage. Japan's military budget rose in 2020, and obviously so did the strength and capabilities of their navy will. In the 2020 fiscal year, the Japanese military budget was $48.6 billion, up 1.1% from 2019. Although $48.6 billion sounds like a lot, it only places them at 7th in terms of military budgets worldwide. So what makes up the Japanese Navy, and what are their secret new weapons? Let's start by looking at the different craft that make up the JMSDF. Destroyers. Fast and maneuverable, the JMSDF operates 10 different classes of destroyers. Endurance warships that escorts larger ships in either a fleet or battle group and protects them against short-ranged attacks. These 10 classes include the Maya, Atago, Kongo, Hatakeis, Asahi, Azuzuki, Takanami, Murasame, Asagiri, and the Hatsuyuki class. Today we will just look at the most powerful of the classes. Only one of 2 Maya-class destroyers are currently in active service, with the second set to be commissioned in March 2021. Their standard displacement is 8,200 tons, but while fully loaded, that displacement goes up to 10,250 tons. The Maya class are equipped with a 5-inch Mk-45 Mod 4 gun, 8 Type 17 anti-ship missiles, 2 20mm Phalanx CIWIS, standard and anti-ballistic missiles, decoy launchers, and 2 HOS 302 triple torpedo tubes. With a top speed of 34 miles per hour, 300 personnel are needed to control the destroyer. The Hatakaze class were the first to be propelled by gas turbine. Despite not being the largest destroyer in the fleet, its OYQ-41 type tactical control system allows the ship to function as a group flagship or command ship. Only 260 personnel man this destroyer, which is decked out with Harpoon surface-to-surface missiles, surface-to-air missiles, anti-submarine rockets, 20mm Phalanx CIWIS, and 2 Type 68 triple torpedo tubes. The Hatakaze's Rolls-Royce gas turbines propelled the destroyer to a top speed of 35 miles per hour. Designed, optimized, and tested for undersea warfare, the Asahi class of destroyers is one of the strongest craft in the Japanese Navy. These destroyers come armed with a 5-inch Mk-45 Mod 4 gun, 8 Type 90 anti-ship missiles and quad canisters, anti-sub missiles, SSMs, SAMs, 20mm Phalanx CIWIS, an anti-torpedo system, 2 HOS 302 triple torpedo tubes, and a 32-cell Mk-41 vertical launching system. Onboard tech includes a towed sonar array and a GAN AESA multifunction radar. The combined diesel-electric and gas engine also provide a top speed of 35 miles per hour. Heavily automated, the Hatakaze only requires a crew of 230. Aircraft. The JMSDF have over 300 aircraft and helicopters available, with most of them used in anti-submarine warfare. There are 7 types of land-based fixed-wing aircraft and 3 different types of helicopters. The Lockheed P-3 Orion is one of the main fixed-wing aircraft used, and it has many roles: maritime patrol, ELINT, optical reconnaissance, equipment tests, and electronic warfare trainer is what the P-3 is best at. The JMSDF own 81 of these aircrafts, and they are superior anti-submarine aircrafts. Kawasaki P-1 is the next aircraft that is mainly used for maritime patrol. There are 23 at the full disposal of the JMSDF, giving them a huge air advantage. They all have a max speed of 619 miles per hour and a range of 5,000 miles. The armament on board these aircraft make them a real threat to enemies. There are multiple missiles, depth chargers, mines, and torpedoes. Used as a search and rescue craft, the Shinmeiwa US-2 is quite a large aircraft. It took its first flight in 2003, but it is yet to see active service. They have a max speed of 350 miles per hour and a range of 2,900 miles. The JMSDF have 145 helicopters at their disposal, with many of them being maritime helicopters. The Mitsubishi SH-60 is the most common one of them all and is used for search and rescue operations and anti-submarine warfare. They have a top speed of 165 miles per hour and a range of 363 miles. The Augusta Westland AW-101 is another helicopter used by the JMSDF, mainly as a minesweeper and utility helicopter. There are 12 available to the JMSDF and are very valuable to minesweeper operations. Lastly is the Eurocopter EC-135. These are used as training helicopters by the JMSDF and are very important as it gives trainees a feel for what it would be like to use the other helicopters. There are 15 in the JMSDF's inventory. Submarines. You might be surprised to learn that Japan has a long history with the humble submarine craft, starting with the purchase of 5 Holland-type submarines from the United States in 1904. The early subs had limited assault capabilities that included 3 torpedoes and a dynamite gun. Since then, Japan has consistently aimed to expand and improve its fleet of submarines, which represent an indispensable component of the Japanese Navy's amphibious capabilities. Currently, the Japan Maritime Self-Defence Force contains 3 active submarine classes: the Taigei class, the Soryu class, and the Oyashio class. Each new class has been designated as a successor to the last, starting with the Oyashio class in 1998, succeeded by the Soryu class in 2007. But it's the newest class of submarines, launched in 2020, which has the world's Navy feeling nervous: the Taigei class. Taigei class. Meaning big whale in Japanese, the lithium-ion powered Taigei class submarine was launched on the 14th of October 2020 for testing. It'll be at least 2 years until it will be combat ready, but 6 further craft have been ordered for production over the next 5 years. Designed to improve the capacity of the Japanese Navy, these submarines are aimed at combating increasing Chinese aggression in the South China Sea. The vessel weighs a whopping 3,000 tons, which is a small amount heavier than previous Soryu-class attack submarines that displaced 2,900 tons. The Taigei truly lives up to its title of Big Whale, sporting a length of 275 feet, a width of 30 feet, and a height of 34 feet. The vessel has the same length and width as its predecessor, but is a fair bit higher by almost 2 meters and will be able to accommodate 70 crew members, 5 more than its Soryu-class cousin. Now that we've got the boring statistics out of the way, we can get into what you're here for: the combat capabilities and other design features of this impressive piece of technology. Weapons. Japan's new Taigei submarine contains 6 HU-606 torpedo tubes, which are capable of housing Type 89 torpedoes, Type 18 torpedoes, or Harpoon missiles. The Type 89 torpedo is a homing torpedo designed by the Japanese Armed Forces in 1984 and manufactured by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries for use aboard Japanese submarines, including the Soryu class. It shares many similarities to the Mark 48 ad-cap torpedo, which is used by the United States, although it has a slightly smaller warhead at 589 pounds compared to 650 pounds for its US counterpart, but it boasts use at a greater depth of up to 2,953 feet compared to 2,625 feet for the Mark 48 ad-cap torpedo. While the torpedo is beginning to age and decrease in effectiveness, it is still a powerful weapon that can inflict serious damage to enemy ships and submarines. Japan's newly designed Type 18 torpedo represents an improvement from the Type 89 torpedo. Both torpedoes are very similar in terms of size, but the Type 18 torpedo trumps the Type 89 torpedo with a lower depth at which it can be used, a quieter design that decreases the ability of enemy ships and submarines to detect it, and a longer range at which it can be used against enemy ships. The Type 18 torpedo will most likely replace the Type 89 torpedo as the most common torpedo used by the Japanese Navy and the most likely candidate for use aboard the Taigei. The Harpoon missile is a sea-skimming anti-ship missile that was developed by the United States in the 1970s in response to the Soviet-built Styx anti-ship missile, which sank an Israeli destroyer in 1967. The Harpoon missile is deadly up to a range of 150 miles and is able to reach its target at a speed of 537 miles per hour. It tracks its target by using radar and skims the surface of the sea to avoid detection and make interception nearly impossible for an unsuspecting opponent. Any of these three weapons will make the Taigei submarine a force to be reckoned with and truly dominant at sea. New systems. Like the Soryu class of attack submarines, the Taigei submarine uses advanced sonar systems, which stands for sound navigation ranging and refers to technology that uses the propagation of sound to perform various tasks, such as communication, navigation, and detection of objects. The sonar used on submarines is primarily used underwater to detect enemy submarines from great distances. The Taigei submarine utilizes the newly designed Oki ZQQ-8 sonar system, which makes a few important improvements to the previous Oki ZQQ-7 sonar system, including weight reduction, power saving, and improved detection ability. Reduced weight of the sonar system means heavier or new weapons and instruments can be used on board the Taigei, while reduced power consumption means the fuel on board the submarine will last longer, allowing for longer combat or training missions. Improved detection ability is an extremely important aspect to the new sonar system, as it allows the Japanese Navy to combat the improving stealth capabilities of submarines and ships being used and developed all over the world. Both the Taigei submarine and Soryu class of submarine use air-independent propulsion systems, which are required for non-nuclear submarines to operate without direct access to oxygen from the atmosphere, which would usually be obtained by positioning a submarine at the surface of the water or using a snorkel. Soryu and Taigei submarine class submarines work by using diesel engines to generate electricity, which is used to propel and power the submarine, and charge onboard batteries so that the submarines can be powered for periods of time where the diesel engines are not in operation. Diesel engines can only be turned on in the presence of oxygen, meaning most submarines need to surface in order to recharge the onboard batteries, which severely undermines the stealth of the vessel. To solve this issue, Taigei and Soryu submarines utilize an air-independent propulsion system, which is essentially an engine that is able to generate electricity using working fluid which does not require oxygen. This system allows the Taigei submarine to travel deep underwater for long periods of time where it is difficult to detect, giving it the upper hand on vessels that are exposed when they need to refuel. The only disadvantage of the air-independent propulsion system is that it produces noise, reducing the stealth capabilities of the Taigei submarine. This is only a small disadvantage since this system produces nowhere near as much noise as nuclear submarines, which need to constantly pump coolant through the reactor, and it can also be turned off if the onboard batteries have enough charge. The Taigei submarine uses a more advanced radar system than the Soryu class of submarine in the form of the ZPS-6H radar system, succeeding the ZPS-6F radar system. Both of these systems use radio waves to detect ships and air vessels both on and above the surface of the water. The new Taigei submarine is the first to include facilities that support female personnel, increasing the number of potential sailors that would be suited to manning the vessel. This is very relevant considering Japan's low birth rates and aging population, which have increased the difficulty associated with recruiting adequate numbers of personnel to fulfill the requirements of the Japanese armed forces. Lithium-ion power. The main feature that sets Taigei apart from previous submarines is the implementation of a lithium-ion battery instead of lead-acid batteries, which were used on most Soryu-class submarines. Lithium-ion batteries are about twice as effective as lead-acid batteries, meaning their implementation will allow the Taipei submarine to stay underwater for longer periods of time, travel at greater speeds, and improve the endurance of the vessel. Lithium-ion batteries can also be charged quicker and have a longer lifespan than lead-ion batteries, reducing the maintenance costs of the submarine and decreasing the amount of time Taipei has to recharge at the surface of the water, where it is very vulnerable to attacks from enemy ships, submarines, or planes. Currently, Japan is the only country to use submarines with lithium-ion batteries, giving it the upper hand over all other countries that opt for use of lead-acid batteries. Although use of lithium-ion batteries come with many benefits, there are also some negatives involved with its use. If a lithium-ion battery is damaged, it can produce hydrogen gas, which is colorless and odorless but highly damaging. It would only take a single spark to cause an explosion, which could rupture the hull of the vessel or damage other important equipment. An explosion could also be fatal or sabotage a mission. Lithium-ion batteries are also prone to combusting, which can generate heat and toxic fumes, massively increasing the risk of a fire on board and putting the lives of the crew at risk. Lithium-ion batteries are also incredibly expensive, which is reflected in the cost of the Taigei submarine at $758 million compared to $488 million for Soryu-class submarines that did not use lithium-ion batteries. The use of lithium-ion batteries is a good investment due to the wide variety of positives associated with their use, and the fact that most of the negatives associated with their implementation can be negated by ensuring the crew adequately maintain the batteries and ensuring they are not subject to damage. Overall, the Taipei submarine is a substantial improvement on previous Soryu-class submarines, with improvements to stealth technology, detection technology, and weapon systems. The implementation of an advanced lithium-ion battery system used in conjunction with diesel engines improves the maneuverability of this advanced piece of military equipment and truly makes the Japanese Navy a force to be reckoned with. And that's all the time we have for today's video. We hope you enjoyed taking a look at Japan's newest submarine, the jumbo-sized Taigei. Please give this video a like if you learned something new, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss another amazing video from Insane Reality. See you next time.